Alright, game plan for October 27th. Gold is high time frame, downtrend, middle time frame range bound, and low time frame bullish. I absolutely love these conditions when we're within a high time frame downtrend or uptrend, and then the middle time frame becomes a range bound. Gives a super nice opportunity for buys if we're in a downtrend, sells if we're in an uptrend. DXY, very bearish, pretty extended to the downside. Have we been pulling back? Yeah, kind of at a point where you'd expect that too. Let's see. Yeah, I mean, we are just quite extended to the downside on DXY, and historically we have been filling moves a little bit, so complete ideal situation is we open, push bullish low time frame wise, we pull bearish low time frame wise, and we get a buy around here, kind of anywhere in here. It kind of goes against the natural movement of the middle time frame range, but daily candle behaviorally, high time frame wise, and DXY wise, it makes sense. So that's what I'm hoping for. Ideally, I already would have caught something in here, but we'll see what happens. If DXY ends up just ripping bearish, I mean, low time frame continuations are looking quite lucrative. The only way that I would take a sell in this session is if we do overextend somewhere up here, which would be nice as well. So yeah, the smart thing to do would be to wait for some displacement off this area, because this is really awkward, but you know, we'll see what happens. Alright, so it looks like the LTF continuations would have worked out, is what it is. That's just not my trade, but we'll see what happens here on the overextension. Given the intensity of the buying pressure, I would want something really nice and progressive, really decisive, but right now we seem to be struggling to move bullish, even with that bearish DXY. DXY is still in a spot where you could expect something like this to occur, but we ended up opening the hour and driving bearish. So yeah, if we could push a little bit further, that would be great, but yeah, just looking for something nice and progressive. I would really like a bit of a low time frame range to form, actually, with some decent room, and then maybe take something off a disproportionate reaction up top. But it is a little bit unnatural high time frame wise, just where like we are finally getting this buying pressure coming in after after a solid amount of selling, and we already created that bottom wick on the daily, retested that low. So I don't think it is the absolute highest probability trade, but if the low time frame behavior lines up, then I'll take it. So yeah, the 15-minute just opened. I'm honestly not a fan of the resistance that we're getting here. Like, that almost looks like an entry, but I just don't really like how we do have all this structure here, and DXY is still driving bearish, which is honestly good for the sell case right now, but I would like to see a bit of a reaction there. Alright, so I did just take sells there. We'll see what happens here. TP is quite close, just at this low here. Saw some buying volume on DXY coming in. Obviously overextended on both gold and DXY. Not a huge fan of the low time frame structure, but we'll see what happens. Trade is something like that. Honestly not looking the best right now. Actually, I guess as I said that, it's looking alright, but not too worried. I feel like we could just react to the, okay, that surpassed my TP on cTrader, but nothing got acted. Okay, there we go. Alright. Decent trade. One thing that I will say about this entry that I am happy about is I kind of took a bit of learning from the last couple of days where we had a little bit of low time frame structure. I was hesitant to enter because of that structure, and I ended up missing, a B, maybe even A class setup in my opinion. So decided to be a little bit more lenient tonight, and glad to see it worked. Really nice reaction on DXY. Now, will this continue? Honestly, I couldn't care less. Like, if I'm trading a low time frame range like this, my TP is pretty much always at the low time frame extremity. If this was a more natural entry high time frame wise, then I would be more inclined to hold it to maybe a 1.5 or so. Honestly, RR is irrelevant. But just kind of structurally, I would maybe look to hold it a little bit longer. But yeah, I'm content with that. Now, one thing I do want to say is I feel like so many people talk about how you respond to losses, emotional control and whatnot, but I feel like the response to losses is overemphasized and the response to wins is overlooked and very essential in itself, because one loss means absolutely nothing, but of course that would also mean one win means absolutely nothing. Like, they're both statistically irrelevant. Even 5 wins in a row, even 5 losses in a row, statistically irrelevant. A full negative week, maybe a slight blip on the radar that you should look into, but it's just, I feel like people are so quick to celebrate a singular trade win when all that's doing is, basically training yourself to believe that the result of a singular trade warrants an emotional reaction, which it doesn't. The win doesn't warrant one, the loss doesn't warrant one. If you're celebrating after every win, how do you expect your mind to respond after a loss? It doesn't make sense. And I used to be in my room bumping like Rick Ross after a win and shit. Like, I'll admit it, but you just need to recognize the complete and utter fucking irrelevance of singular, like, completely insignificant blips on the radar, data points. It's just, yeah, it's ridiculous, man. Like, there's no need to get crazy after a win. Anyway, that's all I have. So, solid session. I'm happy with that. Plan the trade the plan. That's some Tom Growick shit. Some tomtrades quote, but yeah, I think I had something like that in store, so I'm happy with that.